Hey guys, welcome to yet another chapter of this mail opening saga. We're getting very near the end now, although now that my Universal Credit money has come in and we are near the end of this, maybe I can start buying bundles again. But we're going to do this one, we're going to do another one which I intend to film right after to finally get it all finished. Going to list it all on eBay, but today we have a pretty interesting one. We're ending strong with these last two bundles. But first of all, I'm going to open this individual one. Now, I'm going to be completely honest, this was not a bad deal. Definitely got a fine deal on this. However, I just really shouldn't have bought it at this particular time where I was already like deep into my overdraft and whatever, But I don't actually know what these are worth, so it's possible that I might actually be able to resell it. That being said, I'm not in my overdraft anymore because my money's finally come through. So, maybe we'll just keep it and use it in the Fed as originally planned. But, so, here we go. We've got... Oh, it is a Mattel cowboy hat. From the listing, I couldn't tell if it was a Jax one or a Mattel one, but it is a Mattel one. I'm just going to put that there. I can tell from the fact that it isn't fucking sticky. So, this is an Elite of JBL. And I got this for £6 on minimum bid. And I literally just bought it for the sake of it. Like, I had no purpose in picking this particular one up. I just saw it. I bidded. I won it. £6 it was. That's definitely a fine price. There's no... Any Elite for £6 is pretty good. But... I just didn't particularly need to get him at this particular point in time. I've got no plans for him in the Fed, but when I was a kid, I'd go in and out on JBL. Sometimes I'd be like, he needs to be champ, and sometimes I'd be like, he needs to get buried like mad. I really just flip-flopped on JBL. It's impressive that I thought anything of him when I was a kid, because I thought JBL was just terrible. I thought he looked silly. I thought he was just an unconvincing champion. But at the end of the day, I guess that's it. Like, if you want a champion that is just hateable, doesn't look like he should be there, I guess JBL's your man. And I don't know if the same sort of feeling will encompass me nowadays. And I really don't really have any point or purpose to owning this figure right now. It's just sort of in case, I guess. But yeah, we'll see what comes of him. I might just check the listings on eBay and see what they're going for. If they're going for like 15 or something, maybe, which they probably are, let's face it, it's a pretty old Elite, then I might just list it and what happens happens. But for now, let's get on to the next bundle. Now, this one is pretty good. It's quite small, but quality over quantity on this one, because this is, if I recall correctly, all Elites, just like the AEW roster. And if I can remember what 3 of them are, I think. One of them is definitely to keep. One of them is definitely to sell. One of them is in the middle. I can't remember if it's like 6 or 8 total figures, but I can't quite remember what any of the others are. And you know me, I like to forget, so it's good. It's good to forget and then be surprised in the mail. So let's see what we've got here. So, take that void fill off. Okay. So, first of all, we'll start off with one of the ones I knew about. This is getting sold. I know that already just from picking it up. It is the not entrance greats, the other one. Defining Moments Sting. With the America gear, we can see there's some paint damage to the jacket. It's also filthy. There's a lot of dust on it and stuff. You can see the double limp wrists here. Yeah, that's pretty loose joint. That one's not great. I don't know if you can see that already, but the legs are just kind of flopping all over in my hand. The head's actually in pretty good condition. A bit more paint loss on the back. Yeah, nah. So, yeah, I wasn't sure whether I was going to sell this one or just hold on to it for the time being. But if I'm honest, if I wanted one, it would have been in better condition than this. And it would have had to have better paint than this, and it would have had to have better joints than this. If the joints were fine and the paint was messed up, I'd still sell it. If the joints were messed up and the paint was fine, I'd still sell it. This Sting is getting sold. It's not a great Elite to sell, because in the UK, these were 10 a penny. I remember when I worked at the Entertainer, we had these shelf warming for like £10. It's crazy. And it's not a bad figure. This is a bad example of it because it has just been, you know, done to death. But, you know, we'll get some money back for the bundle on that one because I'm not keeping it. The next one, oh, it isn't a fully elite bundle. The next one is another, we're getting a recurring theme here on the mail openings. It's another potential head for that Survivor Series Ultimate Warrior. Now, this one is closer to the color scheme of the Survivor Series Warrior. It's quite subtle, but it's still quite colorful, so it's gonna blend in quite well. It's possible that that could be the route we go down again. We could keep this head as an alternate Ultimate Warrior head. But again, we'll look it up because I'm not familiar with this basic warrior particularly well. I don't recall seeing this an awful lot of times. So, we'll look it up, and if it's worth something, maybe we'll sell it. And if not, then, we'll probably just keep it for that head because that's quite a nice subtle head, I think, to fix up that Survivor Series Elite. It's definitely not all Elite here because we've got a Brock Lesnar here. Now, honestly, I think this is my favourite Brock head scan, that at least one that has an open mouth. I don't know what it is. It's kind of got that like gnarly look to it that kind of makes figures look interesting sometimes. When you just kind of see a figure and you think that's kind of ugly. I really like it. It's kind of got that vibe going on there, and I think that's why I like it. And if I'm completely honest, again, I might keep this and head swap it onto my Elite 90 whatever one with the top knot. That's not a look of Brock's I particularly care for. And like I say, this probably is my favourite open mouth scan of Brock at least. My favourite Brock is probably the red and black Trunks Elite from 2014-ish, 2013-ish. But I really should have bought that at the time if I wanted it. So, yeah, possible head swap there. So you see in here, there's not a lot of resale planned here in this one. But, part of that is because of like the usefulness of these figures. Now, this next one is to resell because I already have exactly this figure. And it is an AJ Styles Elite. I think this is like Elite 67 or something around that neck of the woods. I picked one of these up for around a tenner like a year or two ago because, it was like my security AJ Styles if I didn't get a better one. Obviously, we've got that Ultimate Edition coming out, which looks really good. And I don't need another copy of exactly the same figure. That knee's kind of buckled. He's kind of dusty. The legs are a little bit loose. So that's definitely a seller. But this is one of the fastest selling figures I ever sold. I sold a loose one of these without jacket for something like £9.90. I listed it based on the sold listings, of course, and it sold within like 10 minutes. So that was pretty great. And we'll hope to see what we can do with this. I think, AJ Styles figures are 10 a penny, but good AJ Styles figures, not so much. So maybe we'll see. And again, yeah, but that's a definite seller. We've got another definite seller here because, again, I already own this figure. And it's just a Triple H. No accessories, nothing fancy. Just a Triple H. We'll chuck him on eBay. The Triple H figures seem to be going up in price a little bit because they're not really getting made anymore. And, they seem to be going up a little bit. But again, this is probably one of the cheapest Elites. I honestly think this guy was maybe just picking up the cheapest Elites he could find. Like the AJ Styles was in Home Bargains at one point. The Sting was like a tenner. These were like, I can't even remember how cheap these were in the Entertainer. All of this happening at around the same time. So I figure this is a small figure collection from about 4 years ago. You could also get the last Elite in this bundle for £8 in Home Bargains at one point. But first of all, we've got a ladder. That's just going to go into an accessories bundle because I don't particularly care for these kind of soft plastic ladders. They're not great. They're quite useful for keeping the connector bits together, but I'm pretty sure I already have a few of these anyway. So again, we'll amplify a accessories bundle with that, and we will sell on this AJ Styles Phenomenal One armband, which I actually think is probably still no, it isn't. I was gonna say it's probably still too big for my noodle arms, but no, yeah, it gets about halfway up my arms, and then it's then we're done. So yeah, that will be straight on eBay. Actually looks in really good condition. In fact, everything looks in really good condition compared to that Sting figure. But the last thing we've got, I promised you a figure we were going to keep. If it's in the same condition as Sting, then we're not going to keep it. But this is part of the reason why I wanted this bundle. Like I said, this is something you could pick up at Home Bargains at one point for $7.99. I can't remember if I found one, because it was this defining moments and the John Cena defining moments you could get in home bargains at the time. I feel like I could only find the Cena, but it is. I'm just gonna redo that quote there. It is the defining moments. Nature Boy, woo! Ric Flair, old man style figure. First of all, this cape is huge. This is so much bigger than I ever expected it to be. It is enormous. And it looks in fine condition. You've got Nature Boy. It's nice and soft. It's really soft. We're gonna just pop it off for now though, but we're gonna take a look at those joints inside because, you know, like I say, we are planning on keeping this. We do have the WCW Elite 90 whatever Ric Flair as well. So I don't know where I'm landing on that because that's a young Ric Flair and this is an old Ric Flair. I kind of appreciated old Ric Flair as a kind of like a filler guy. Like, you know, it's like, oh, I need someone for this guy to fight. You can fight Ric Flair. He's a respectable guy, but he's getting a bit old. He can put people over, you know. So I kind of liked old man Ric Flair for stuff like that. But we got young man Ric Flair as well. But I don't know, you know, we could always just sell that. We got fairly tight ab joint there. Like, it does move, but it holds its position pretty well as well. The joints on this seem to be fine. The paint on the head, etc., looks fine. The RF's still there. You know, I think this is in really good condition. I definitely think we're going to keep that. And again, I kind of did regret not picking this up back in the day for $7.99 in home bargains. I probably at the time I didn't feel like I had anything for Ric Flair. I've kind of changed a lot in my attitude in what's useful in my Fed. As you may have noticed, I kind of just pick up a lot of stuff, anything and everything now. Ric Flair is something that's definitely useful in Legends or otherwise. So yeah, I guess I kind of just need to make that decision about whether I want an old Ric Flair or a young Ric Flair. The continuity in that regard in DSW isn't really there, but I digress. We've got the defining moments, Ric Flair. That brings us to the end of this latest chapter in the mail opening saga. And if you enjoyed this video, please do like, comment, and subscribe. And check out the mail opening playlist in the end screen. I'm going to go off and film next week's mail opening. So I hope you guys are going to join me for that next week. And for now, just thank you guys for watching and goodbye.